this is simply a herpes awareness video, just in case anybody out there is having unprotected sex, thinking that they don't have herpes when they do. It's usually males, because women know when they have herpes. Men are the lucky ones that can get any STD and they're just like, it's nothing. And the doctors literally said to a guy I knew in Canberra, well, you're a strapping young man. Of course you have an STD. Pat him on the back. Anyway, same as men being able to go through women on the dating sites, because it's, you know, but if the chicks do it, they're a slut. So the guys just go fuck all these women in their 20s and then try and find a decent woman in their 30s and then wonder why they've all been fucked. It's like, well, how many did you do, mate? Who'd you ruin it for? Some other bloke out there who knows that you've been in his Mrs. Cooch. Anyway, think about it. Stop fucking people for fun when you're young. It's stupid. And it adds to the population growth of unwanted children. Anyway, enough of that lecture. In regard to herpes, I'm going to tell you the story of how I got it so that it will serve as a warning to everybody else, especially women. So I broke up from an 8-year relationship, spent about 8 months getting skinny, stopped drinking, exercising, eating healthy, felt good. First guy I actually decided to hook up with on RSVP. We both get STD checks and they come back negative for everything. So we entered into a sexual relationship for probably like a couple of weeks. We probably only caught up like 3 times, maybe not even. But he had a pierced penis and the condom broke. So anyway, we stopped seeing each other. Like I told him, we were testing the waters. I'd, been in a long-term relationship. So about a week later, I come out with these horrible sore pimples, like the size of the end of my little finger, right? Like big, hard, blind zits. They're all over my vagina and up my ass and in my vagina and in my urethra. And on the end of each of these really big, hard, painful, blind pimples is a blister that just stings. And if anything touches it, it's like nerve endings. And literally my legs were kicking out when I was trying to walk around Woolies. It was so painful that I was lucky I had a friend that had some morphine suppositories left over from a tonsillectomy. So they worked, but it wore off in Woolies, and my leg was kicking out involuntarily because of the pain of the shooting pain in the nerves and sending my leg like, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to get home. This is hurting. So thank God for that. I don't know. It was just the most horrible thing. And I remember texting this guy and saying, I've got herpes. You're the only guy I've been with. Did your last partner have it? And he's like, yes. But he didn't tell me that. And obviously with a pierced penis, he should have been extra careful, because herpes is like a cold sore virus, HSV1, HSV2. It lingers in your system, undetectable. If you have a test, it won't come up unless you've got an outbreak. But if you happen to have like a piercing in your penis or your vagina, that bacteria or the virus is going to actually go there all the time, because it's a weakness in your skin. So any weakness in your skin, such as like a pimple, a scratch, shaving rash. Shaving rash is bad. Any woman that's getting waxed and stuff, that's automatically going to leave, like tiny wounds. Basically any tiny wound, even if it's just like a scratch in your vagina because you've been going hard, or shaving rash from a shaved vagina on your penis, or just anything. And especially if your immune system's low, but I have found that most of mine recur when I'm really stressed, like at TAFE, the end of TAFE, both years. I just get a tiny one on the end of my clit, really annoying, but tiny. I have had a few bigger ones when I've been really stressed out. It's always a sign that I'm really, really stressing. I think it's similar to the cold sores. But anyway, you're all apparently, because I did my research, I thought my sex life was over after this guy, and it kind of broke my heart a bit because I'd only just started to see other people after a long-term relationship that I thought I was going to marry that guy and have kids and shit, right? So anyway, I looked right into it. You shed cells all the time, even if you're not presenting any symptoms, and you can pass it on simply from the cells. So you don't necessarily have to have genital contact if you're sort of touching yourself and touching someone else straight away. That can possibly spread it. Yeah. And because it's undetectable, a lot of people can go around like basically flashing a doctor's certificate to say, look, I had all my tests, I'm negative for everything. But like I said, unless you're presenting, and I get them very rarely, so, you know, it's very easy to go and get a test and go, yeah, I'm clean. But I know I'm not. And I was celibate for 8 years because I had a one-night stand, which was drunk and fucking very short and just a waste of time. But I realized the next day that this guy and his friend did this every year, and I think they were just coming up north to get roots and go back home. And I realized he had a missus. I could just kind of tell. And obviously I wasn't drunk anymore, but I felt really guilty, and my friend was looking at me and she said, what's the matter? And I said, you know, I could have just given that guy herpes even though we used a condom. And she said, well, it's too late now. Don't worry about it. Can't do anything about it now. And I was like, I could have told him. Probably should have sent him a text and said, I was really drunk last night, but by the way, I'm a herpes carrier, just FYI. But I didn't, because there's this shame thing, right, with herpes in all the movies and stuff, and they're always like, oh, they're herpes, that shit never goes away. Like, but it's a shame factor, so they shame you into not talking about it. And then it's also undetectable on a test, so it's a really good way to spread something that's incurable amongst the sexually active population. So anyway, this is my little herpes awareness video because, you know, a guy gave it to me and he lied. And I was celibate for 8 years after I realized that I had to take responsibility and not spread this shit to any other women. Because men don't care, and they honestly, they just don't care. They can know they have things and they just don't care. So if everything, all these things affect women worse because our, you know, reproductive system's all inside our bodies. So we're affected worse by everything down there. There's just so much more that can go wrong. And yeah, we have worse symptoms generally, and it can affect us in greater ways. Like I still have a weak bladder now because of the herpes, and I know that that's been there ever since the herpes. So that's damage that it did, that's never going away. And yeah, so just beware, everybody. There's lots of nasty things you can catch, but herpes doesn't go away. I'm sure there is a cure. They just don't want us to be cured. So, you know, it's a good shame factor thing to introduce into society. So yeah, just be careful. Condoms aren't even a sure thing with herpes, so just be really careful. And if you do have it, you should be telling people before you dive in. And if you're on a dating site of any kind, you should be putting it in your profile for full disclosure. And that's just common courtesy in, I think, the dating scene. Yeah, you should be letting people know. Full disclosure. Be honest. Don't be ashamed and don't be embarrassed. because it's somebody else's life that you're messing with, and they're going to probably pass it on to other people. So, yeah, really think about how many people you are sleeping with. Remember the AIDS ad? How many people are you really sleeping with? Dozens, probably, if you're sexually active and promiscuous with other sexually active and promiscuous people. Good luck with the herpes, everybody.